Káàbọ̀. Ṣẹlá ní gbogbo ènìyàn. I am Awo Ifa Jaminire.
I am Awo Ifa Tegunshe.
And you are tuned in to
the best,
to the greatest
podcast
on the whole planet Earth. Let's talk Ifa.
Yes.
Ashe. Wow. As usual, we pray that everybody is well. We pray for you and your families, the children.
Ashe.
We hope everybody is doing okay. We hope everybody is blessed and protected as life continues to life. Life is lifing. So we want to thank you as usual for all of your support, all of the encouragement, all the comments, all the engagement, the emails. Please keep it coming. We appreciate you. If you need anything or have any questions, please email us at letstalkifa@gmail.com. We do have ways now where you can donate to the cause or become a member of Let's Talk Ifa at various levels to support what we are doing so we can continue to keep making more of the content that you love and that will also support some of the initiatives that we'll be looking to do this year and going into the future for the community, for Oyatunji Kingdom, for our nation of Orisha people, for the world. Okay, this thing is not about us. This is about us as a collective, as a community, and ultimately as a nation that I don't believe we recognize that we are yet. So today's topic is the importance of sacrifice. The importance of Ebo, Etutu, or Ipese, or the importance of sacrifice in general. Why? What is it? Why is it important? And what role does it play in our life? I say why.
And Ebo is more than just what we see as a ritual or a sacrifice with an animal or something of that sort. Ebo goes a little deeper because you'll be surprised how much when we talk about Ebo or when Ifa prescribes Ebo, you'll be surprised on the human involvement in that process of Ebo or Etutu. And we know that when the Ebo is done for a human being or a client or someone like that. But the aspect of the human beings partaking in that Ebo, being part of the full ceremony, not just the client, but even those that are there to assist the Oluwo. Even those who are in the community when the Ebo is going on, and those who are just around when the Ebo is being performed, is very powerful because Ebo is not just meant for one individual.
Benny.
What makes Ebo strong or powerful is when there's a group of people that's partaking in the Ebo or that is a part of that ceremony or that ritual being done, because Ebo is about unity as well. You might not be used to hearing that, but Ebo is about unity, is about bringing things in harmony. It's about realigning things. Or if things are realigned, Ebo helps to keep it aligned.
I see.
And so it's a very powerful thing, but Ebo is very effective when it's more than one person that's involved in
which it always is. Just to add on to what the Baba was saying before you continue. Also, the eating of, if there was an animal involved, when that goat or whatever, the bird or the chicken or the goat or the cow or whatever it is cooked and eaten, that's also part of the blessings and part of the ritual of the Ebo. As a matter of fact, when it is eaten, that's when everything has been accepted and actually completed.
It's sealed.
People are happy. It's sealed. People are eating. They're joyous. They're positive. That when people are eating and breaking bread. So yeah.
And one of the Odu Ifa, one of the major Odus Ifa, Warring Meiji, speaks about how Ebo is not just meant for Orisha or for the ancestors, but Ebo is also meant for humans to partake in. So as the Baba was just saying,
Benny,
when a goat or feathers are given as Ebo, it's important that the meat is cooked and it's made into a meal and it's shared. You offer it, you do the ritual of preparing the meat, the eran, for the Orisha, but then you take that meat, you cook it, and you share it with the community. That's what helps the Ebo to be sealed.
Ashe.
And accepted.
Unless Ifa says that for this particular sacrifice that humans should not eat the meat, because generally in that case it is going to maybe the Iami or maybe some type of purpose to prevent that, where it's going to a particular entity where you don't want to eat from it. If that, if y'all get where I'm going with it, if you understand what I'm trying to say. When it's a certain type of ritual or sacrifice, if I will tell you when you don't want to eat from that, because you don't want to share in that you just giving all of that to whatever spirit that it's going to. There are many different types of sacrifice, so we just want to differentiate a little bit.
And a lot of times it's when you don't, through my experience, even when learning up under my elders, I learned that Ebo is not, you don't partake of the Ebo if you're making Ebo for a person that has some type of sickness.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to take on that. So it will be given to the elements, Yami,
spirit of Arun,
or in the bush or something like that, for those forces to partake in that.
Benny.
And still the Ebo is being shared, because it's not being shared with one spirit, it's being shared with a host of spirits that will partake in that.
Right.
So that makes the Ebo effective as well.
And if I would dictate that, if I would let us know during the procedure, it will guide us on how to handle that. So today we will be referencing from some of this book again, Baba Araba, Ifayemi Elebuiban, The Healing Power of Sacrifice. If you don't have it, go get it.
Very, very good book.
We're not making any money off of this or promote. We just letting you know it's a good book if you want to learn. It's an excellent book. So, just a couple of things that we'll be referencing from here from time to time. I'm going to read a quick paragraph if you don't mind. The term sacrifice needs to be further explained in the Yoruba religio-cultural perspective. Its connotation transcends the mere offering of gifts to the poor. Sacrifice is propitiatory. This is why it is otherwise known as etutu, which is etutu, that which propitiates. In another vein, sacrifice can be seen as an atonement, a carrier of bad fortunes and mishaps. Through the practice of sacrifice, all forms of adversities are rubbed off the path of man and nation. and thus usher in positive fortunes of various magnitudes and complexions. The place of sacrifice, therefore, should not be undermined, especially when one remembers that evil and good fortunes are like twin sisters, almost always each other's concomitant. It's we want to give a couple of basic reasons that sacrifice is made, that appeasements are made. Sacrifice is held at remarkable esteem because it has the ability to meet certain basic needs and aspirations of man. It enables him to fulfill his life's ambitions. Sacrifice is very important because of the following functions it performs. So these are a few functions and the importance of airborne sacrifice. It is a means of expressing gratitude to the spiritual beings. It is a means of fulfilling a vow. It is used for establishing a communication and communion between men and spiritual beings. It is used for averting the anger of the divinities and spirits. It is a means of warding off the attack and evil machinations of the enemy. It is also used as a means of purifying a person or a community when certain taboo has been broken or certain sins have been committed. It prevents or expels epidemics. It strengthens the worshipers against malign influence.
Sure.
So before we dive into, before I hand it over you to, discuss some of these a little bit, one more aspect of what Baba was saying earlier about the human aspect of, or the human element of sacrifice is another level of that is the sacrifices and the rituals that the priests are doing is one thing. But with IFA, with the divination, the spiritual advice is the other part of the sacrifice.
Sure.
That's usually more difficult to do than paying the money to do the actual rituals in the Ebo. The sacrifice of, if I might tell you to not argue with nobody. If I might tell you to, calm down some and watch your temperament, if I might tell you to, you can't drink, or you have to drink very sparingly, if not at all, or you can't smoke, or not like those are or you can't eat a certain food, those are the sacrifices that's even harder to make because that's
challenging.
That's very challenging
Right.
because now you're being challenged to change certain habits that you might have had all your life that are detrimental to you.
And this is the problem. This is the problem that we see in our IFA spirituality. This spiritual boom that's going on. This IFA boom that is going on in the world is you see people doing that ball all day. It's beautiful to see it. The chanting, the offerings and the ritual and the throwing of the obi and the all of the fancy throwing of the obi and the sprinkling of the water. It looks good, it looks powerful, but when it comes down to breaking, when Ifa says to break that habit, when Ifa says Iwa, work on your character, bettering your character. That is the challenge for our people that I'm seeing out here.
Benny.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
that's the hard
we
part.
could do all of the fancy rituals and get all the initiations, but when it comes to following principles and rules, this is making Ebal. When Ifa says put the liquor down, that means you got to make that Ebal to put it down. You got to make that sacrifice to leave it alone.
Benny.
When Ifa says stops cursing and swearing, that's making Ebal. When Ifa says wear white for 16 days, 16 to 21 days, That's making Ebal. And what the Baba is saying is that Ifa is saying from the book is that, that's the hard part for human beings to do. And that's what we see today.
Benny.
You even got Babalawos going to jail.
I wouldn't even say they Babalawo, brother.
I don't know
the
what
Babas.
they are. However, the character, the behavior, when we come into this tradition, see, a lot of people come in this tradition because they're looking for protection, because they're doing something wrong, or they're doing something they don't supposed to be doing, or the Olopa's on their back, or something like that. And so they come into this, they get all of the ilekes, they do all of the rituals. But from what I've seen, that character thing, are those rituals working to better your character? Because the thing with Ebal is you have to be a part of that. Just don't let when I paid the priest $1,700 to do the Ebal and nothing worked. Well, you didn't put the work in yourself.
They're looking for a get out of jail
This
free
is not
card.
magic. Part of this is you following the wisdom from that divination. That is Ebal.
That's 50% of it. That's not a little bit. It's half you following the instructions and the advice, and half the actual sacrifice itself.
They work
That's
hand
how
in
they
hand.
work together.
They work hand in hand. You got to be willing. That's why part of when you make an Ebal, and that's why they said when you go to the mat, before you go to the mat of Ifa, you better make sure, you better really think about what you about to do. This ain't like going to a tarot card reader or a palm reader. When you go to sit on Ifa's mat, your ori and your heart better be in alignment with each other, and you better make sure that you are ready to accept what's about to be said. Because you gotta carry that out. Those ewo, those taboos. When they say don't eat no salt or drink liquor or palm oil or whatsoever or sugar, that means you can't do that. You got to make the sacrifice to cut those things out of your life. And that's the hard. That's the part.
That's sacrifice.
But this is part of the problem we have in our community, of our Yoruba community, where people wear their elaborate clothes. They got all of these titles, but their Iwa is not good because they're not making that part of the Ebal. You got some Awos out here still slanging dope. Like you don't supposed to do none of that when you get initiated to Ifa or get initiated to any Orisha or Egungun. That's supposed to stop. You got to make. That's why you got part of why you got initiated is to get away from that.
Nah, bro, they got initiated so they could trap harder and not get caught. That's the wave.
And a lot of times, what happened is they end up in the grave.
It ain't gonna work.
End up in the grave.
We might see some short term results, but this is a long term thing. So they'll give you a chance to turn it around, because in that time you will receive warnings from your Orisha, from your Luo, from your priests, from random people, from your dreams. You will receive warnings to change your behavior, and it's up to you whether you do that or not.
That's the big part of this, and this goes for the world, because the way we see it, all of the Ebals that we are doing as African priests is really what's keeping this whole shit that's steadily crumbling. It would have been sunk. But a lot of the things that we're doing is kind of keeping it afloat.
All the priests with good character, all the devotees with good character that are sending up prayers and positive energy, that are thinking positive, that are speaking positive. This
whole, not just the United States, but we're talking about the world. Because we know the atrocities that are going on in this world. We know the bad EY that is being put out. And our prayers have to combat that. All the things that we do is combating that.
Yeah.
So Ifa says here, it was Orunmila who brought the art of sacrifice into the proper focus and prominence.
Sure.
It is believed that the practice was a specific instruction which was given to him by Olodumare. Moreover, Oshe Torah was prominent minister of Olodumare. He is charged with the responsibility of carrying messages of atonement in the form of Ebo to the heavens. As a result of his active roles and the discharge of his duties, therefore, Olodumare relied on him. So it's saying here that Oshe Torah, the Odu Oshe Torah, the 17th Odu in Ifa, is charged with carrying all of the Ebo, Order issue, to its destination, to its proper destination, which is determined during Ifa divination on where that Ebo goes. If it goes to the crossroad, Orita Meta, if it goes to the foot of a river, if it goes to the foot of a big tree, wherever Ifa says the Ebo goes, once it's placed, Oshetora is the one that carries it and makes sure that it gets to its proper destination.
Before we continue more on this vein, I want to mention something before I forget. Ebo, sacrifice is more powerful than medicine and charms. Ogun. Ebo is more powerful than Ogun. Ogun is the power of medicine and charms and, juju and different things like that. A lot of people just want a quick fix. They want something. They want to let me pay you and let me give me something, a charm or something I can carry with me or bury or put it in my car that's going to do this for me or do that for me or whatever. And that's cool, but it's only so far that's going to take you, because a lot of people, like we were saying earlier, a lot of people don't really want to put in that life-changing work. They just want something that they can, wear or something they can keep on them. Magic. So they can keep doing crime and not get caught, or so they can just do whatever they want to do to either enrich themselves. You got charms for wealth. You got protection charms. You got a lot of women and men too. They want charms to be able to try to control their lover, or, it's all different types of things. So that goes hand in hand kind of with wanting a quick fix. But the proper way to do it is to do the divination, do your sacrifice, and then maybe you get a charm or some oil going to support your positive endeavors after you've done the divination and the sacrifice to help your business, to help with the protection, to help with the blessings in whatever area of life, or, maybe you got a lot of enemies, that's your destiny, and it'll help you to move amongst your enemies, whatever it's for, right? So I just wanted to expand on that a little bit before we continue with basically what we were saying. So I'm going to read another quick part of this that supports what we've been talking about as well. So the things that I mentioned earlier, some of the reasons for sacrifice, it says that the preceding things, the reasons for the sacrifice are not exhaustive. That's not all of them, but definitely shows that indigenous worshipers, including the Babalawo, are not mere pagans of Ajebo, consumer of sacrifice as loots. Some people might say, the Babalawo probably saying I need to give a goat because they hungry, because they want meat for their family. And stories in the Odu where people thought that, and they thought that they felt like the Babalawo was trying to hustle them. And they just decided to not do the sacrifice, right? So it says that it is the vulture and the unseen spirits that consume sacrifice. The Orisha devotees partake of the food offered as sacrifice to their divinity simply because they want to cement the man-spirit relationship and thus maintain the established mutual communion. It will be noted that while the devotees will gladly share food with the Orisha, they dare not partake of the offering as sacrifice offered to the belligerent forces known as the Ajogun. Right, so that's what I was saying earlier. As opposed to the Ajogun, the Orisha are benevolent, meaning that they're good. So offering of sacrifice to the Orisha is meant to appease and seek their favor. Sacrifice in that context, therefore, is a source of powerful prayers, an effective therapeutic device, and armor, and indeed an insulator from all forms of tragedies. It goes on to say, Eboda, Ashe Eshu, the offering has been made, the offering has been accepted. And then it goes on a little bit about the role of that Eshu plays through Oshetur, and being the gatekeeper who stays at the outpost between the universe and heaven. Orita Meta, the T-junction, the three-tier crossroads. Eshu, his political assignment includes Minister of Justice, because he is in charge of all laws established both in the universe and the heavens. He therefore makes arrests and schemes out punishments for the culprits. To balance up, however, he correspondingly rewards the obedient ones. We've said that before, right? So, Eshu, you see it if you read the Partaking and the stories, the IFA, you always see in there where the person either made the sacrifice or they didn't. And when they didn't, it'll come to a point where Eshu will ask Orunmila, or Eshu will know himself whether the person made the sacrifice or not. And then if they didn't, Eshu does something to make things go the wrong way.
And that's not
because you didn't do it.
Right. And so,
the opposite of when you did do the sacrifice, Eshu ensures that you get the positive blessings from that.
Ashe. So you're hearing what Baba is reading and what Baba is explaining here. But also what that is, if you don't make the airball, yes, Eshu will punish you, or Eshu will lead you into some type of situation, right?
That's his job.
But we're not just talking about the ritualistic aspect of the airball here. Well, we're talking about that part, but we're also talking about the part in the divination when Ifa said, don't drink alcohol. Stop smoking too much.
Told you.
Don't eat no meat. Your taboo is this, your taboo is that. Stop cursing. Stop selling drugs. Stop snorting powder. Stop doing these things. Because if you do the ritual part of it and you don't do the other part that helps to better your behavior, Eshu is still gonna get punished. So you have to focus on, yes, the ritual aspect of the airball, but also following those codes of conduct, those principles that Ifa has set before you that comes from the Odu. Don't walk over holes. All of these things these taboos and these things that Ifa says, avoid doing this, avoid doing that.
Benny.
You have to actually avoid those things. That's part of making the airball. Because if you don't do it, then you're going to be blaming the priest. It didn't work. Have so many people say, Baba, when is the, how do I know when it's going to start working? Well, read the reading over and over and follow some of those things that it says don't do. And then you tell me
you'll know
when it start working.
Yeah, you'll know.
Cut back on eating fried chicken or, Bojangles, I'm just being silly, y'all. But no, but actually speaking, you know, change your diet. You know, IFA speaks about these things. You know, take care of your health. All of those things you got to actually follow. That's why the Bible earlier said it's more harder for human beings to do that aspect of the airball.
Benny.
It's easy to get the money and go buy the bird and the etu and the eyele and the akuka, the abuka, and all of these things and sit down on the mat and say, I'm getting my airball done today. But it's hard for you to cut them habits.
And you got to follow up.
Let's do that part as well. And then you're going to see your life change for the better.
I say. And you'll know when it's working. You don't have to ask anybody when is it working. It's your life. You know your situation.
And you know what you got to do.
Yeah. You know when it's working.
Do.
You know when things, are changing and shifting. If you don't know, then that's a whole different problem that we have. That's a whole nother situation. If you don't know your own Ori, your own self enough to know when something is positively working in your life, then you need to sit down and recalibrate yourself. Because you should know.
Things over.
Yeah. You should be able to tell. It's just like when you sick, if you take some medicine, whether it's natural or whatever, you know when the medicine work, when you start to feel better. So when you start to see the things improve in your life that you feel like are stagnated, that you feel like need improving, that's when you know it's working. And it doesn't always work instantly. That's the other thing about sacrifice or ebo. There are a few stories from the old dude, S.A. IFA, that talk about sometimes IFA test us to see if we have faith. Sometimes you might do a sacrifice and you might be trying your best to follow the advice and everything. And 3, 4, 5, 6 months go by, you feel like there's not much has different. Nothing bad has happened, but you haven't seen these astronomical changes in your life. So some people feel like, well, I don't know, did it work? Did it, didn't it work? Did it not work? Did the Bible do? Did the EI do it right? Like, what's going on? Sometimes your faith is tested. So that's a thing. That's a real thing.
I could tell you this. When I got my OOB done, my Orisha birth divination done.
Orisha Alabawaye.
And it said to me, your Orisha birth is Abatala. I was like, wow. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, I can, because my ancestors are Abatala worshipers. And then I found out my Orisha birth was Abatala. But when the Babalawo said, you can't do this, you can't do that, this, that. You can't eat this, you can't eat that. Mainly all of Abatala's taboos. I cut out a lot of those things, and health-wise, I felt so much better.
Say why?
My life, like a lot of things that was in my life causing obstacles and chaos, was removed. Like I was quickly removed from a negative situation.
I say.
By, cutting those taboos, cutting those things out of my life. I was like, wow. But it took discipline. And I was willing to go through the trenches of cutting those things out. And I did. And life started getting better. I kid you not. So I'm a testament, you know what I'm saying? Of it actually working, even through all of my initiations as a youth and coming up, those, my yeye stayed on me about my taboos constantly, and so it made life a little more easy, and it made me more of a peaceful person by following those taboos and not, getting angry or fighting or trying, all of those things, and just staying away from that kind of energy, discipline. It made my life more at ease. And so
I say.
IFA definitely works. This works, but you have to put in that part of the ed bar that says that wisdom. When you sitting there writing your reading down, and you're like, "Ooh, the Babalawo is telling me all of these good things." Like you excited. You better follow those things. The E-Ray aspect of it and the Ayewo aspect of it.
Because with the Baba's Dafa Alabawaye or his Orisha of birth divination, there's no, it's very powerful and it's very impactful divination, but it's not a full divination. There's no elbow marked. There's no sacrifice that's marked per se. There is some small sacrifice rituals that are done on the back end for the client or for anybody who receives that divination, which they don't even really know about. It's just something that we do on the back end in the Elay. But like the Bible said, there was no even sacrifice prescribed per se, other than it's advice, direction, advice, taboos, and as the Baba said, other than the $45 he spent doing that divination, there was no other money spent. There was no goat, there was no ram, there was no nothing, of that nature, other than mainly just having to follow that advice. And you see how impactful it was.
Man. So it's about you doing the work. That's what sacrifice is. When you go to work and you take a portion of your money to go buy those materials, to sit on that mat, to pay the awo or the awos, to make that eba, you're making a sacrifice. When you pay to get that IFA divination done, you come out of your pocket and you put that money on the mat. That money is touched to your ori and to your heart, and you do the prayers. You're making eba. You're giving up something in order to gain something in return.
Benny.
Something much powerful in return that's going to help mold and shape your life and to elevate your life, to take you to a higher plateau. For those who are misled about eba, this podcast right here is giving you the truth on how eba works. We're bringing it together on how this actually works and your job and what you need to do when you go get an eba. Make sure you're not just doing the ritual aspect of it. The ritual aspect of it is a big, big part of it, right? But also following up wisdom, following those taboos, whatever they said, the do's and the don'ts are important.
You see, here at Let's Talk IFA, we don't just tell people what they want to hear. We give y'all the truth. Or Tito. Or Tito. We give people the truth of the matter. It's not sweet saying. It's not about just telling you what you want to hear to make you pump you up and make you feel good and have you leave here and be, 3 days later, you back feeling the way you were before. No. It's to tell you the truth so that you can recalibrate yourself, reinitiate yourself, realign yourself so you can do some deep reflection and introspection so that you can change, so that you can grow and evolve, right? So I'm going to read another quick excerpt out of the book. This small piece that I'm going to read right now talks about the advent of trouble into the world. Saying that we're going to begin by tracing the advent of problems into the universe, which underlie the general rationales behind the practice of sacrifice among the Yoruba. So basically, this is saying that as far as hardships and the advent of troubles into the world, some of them are man-made. Some of them we are the architect of our own misfortunes a lot of times. And then the other part is malevolent or negative, quote unquote, energies or forces, the Ajogun and those type of things. So what it says is the advent of trouble into the world. In Yoruba cosmogony, it is believed that there was order, peace, and tranquility in the beginning of the universe. Disorder with its accompanying problems and hardships set in as a result of man's self-created problems. Man is therefore considered as the architect of his own misfortunes. This, in part, has to do with the type of destiny he chooses. Another reason being the mishaps posed by the malevolent agents like the witches or the Iami. They're using this term witches to loosely translate in English, but that's not really what the Iami is, but it's the only thing the only English word that can kind of try to describe it. So I don't want y'all to get caught up on that. But it says that another reason being the mishaps posed by the malevolent agents such as the Iami and the comrades of heaven, some Egbe, such as Abiku. Mm-hmm. Women that continue to have miscarriages, that continue to have stillbirth, that continue to have what they call SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. These are a class of spirits that are part of Egbe, and they make a pact that they're gonna come into the world, but they're not gonna stay long. So this is part of what we're talking about here. So
they check in and check out.
Check in and check out. It says, of course, the Yoruba do not see problems posed by these agents as being unsurmountable. In our worldview, it can be averted and surmounted by performing the necessary sacrifice and rituals, according to the Yoruba people, which are God ordained by Olodumare through the divination and sacrifice. They are meant to weather all storms. However, the plan of Olodumare is often dislodged by human disobedience. This is what we were just talking about. And this is almost always fraught with problems. So I just wanted to read that quick excerpt because, that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
You can do all the Ebo, but if you disobedient to the other part of the sacrifice, which is what you're supposed to be carrying out, guess what? The Ebo cannot fully manifest because you're not listening. Ifa is saying that everything will be okay and this Ebo will manifest if you do these things. If you pay attention to your taboos. Sure. If you follow this spiritual advice and you do the sacrifices, that's when everything comes together. I say.
It's just like you can't make a ball for all of these things and pray for all of these things that you want, and you don't get off your butt and work towards it.
And work for it.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't sit there and do the elaborate ritual. Mm-hmm. Slaughter half of the farm because you want money, you want good health. If you praying for good health, you got to do the work. Now, the Abbar ritual might open the door for some type of opportunity to come forth where you get the necessary things easily to make your health better, or a job opportunity might come that'll increase your finances when you do the ritual aspect of the Abbar. But you can't just rely on the ritual and you sit down on your butt and say, well, I made my Abbar.
Don't work that way.
They gonna call me
Come
for
on,
a job.
money, fall out the sky, Lord.
Just sprinkle rain on me. Money rain on me now because I did my Abbar. Don't work like that.
Don't work like
you gotta
that.
get up. You gotta be
get
ambitious.
Out and get something.
Gotta be ambitious.
Don't spend all your time trying to get
go get it.
Because you and I got to do for you and I. You ain't gonna have no Iroko tree that's gonna grow in your backyard and you gonna go rub it and money gonna come. Like, people, look, this thing go both ways, right? And I got people that I did clients that somebody hit me up one time. There's no elbow that you can do for good health if you don't want to change your eating habits. You can do all the elbow you want to for good health, but you still eat bad and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing health-wise. And you want to eat what you want to eat. You want to keep eating steak every day and fried chicken and all the cheese and all the white sugar and all that. And then think you're going to do an elbow, for your health, and think that, no, it don't work that way. And on the flip side, just had somebody we did die 5 for last night that's got a pretty good regimen as far as how they eat and what they putting into their body. And they do, take different healthy things for their body, whatever, but they're kind of plagued with certain sicknesses and certain health challenges. They've never done any type of spiritual work before as far as sacrifice or airball. So that's the other side of it. When you're trying to do all the right things, but you have these sicknesses because you haven't done the spiritual work. So that's both sides of the coin. Mm-hmm. And you can't do one without the other, no matter what side you're on.
Conduits.
You know what I mean?
You have to do both.
Got to do both.
You got to break the habit and you got to do the ritual.
You got to do both. You got to wash up and put on deodorant. You can't do one. Can you do one? Am I lying?
You better put on some deodorant.
You can't do one. Both of them go together.
Some kind of smell good.
They go together.
Yeah.
You got to do both.
You can't wash one of them things. And don't put no type of shea butter or something on you to shine.
You can. You're going to be dry and itchy and you're going to be...
So it goes hand in hand.
Dusty
and what we saying.
Crusty.
This goes hand in hand.
It goes hand in hand.
Airball, it goes hand in hand.
Right. You can't do one without the other.
You can't do one without the other.
Yeah.
You got to break your habits and you got to do the ritual aspect of it as well. Because the ritual aspect of it, it helps to, you get support from the spirit realm when you're going through the process of trying to change your character and change your health and to change your financial situations, and you want that to increase. When you do the ritual aspect, you're asking the Orisha, the Irumale, the ancestors, please aid me as I get up off of my butt and I go look for this job.
Meet me halfway. Assist me today as I go do something.
It's about assisting.
Right.
Ebba opens that portal for those divine forces to assist you when you walk out your door to go and find
and help yourself.
That work.
Manny.
The ritual ain't just gonna do it. You do the ritual and then sit and go back to bed and sleep all day and say, well, I made my eyeball. I'm gonna get a phone call in about an hour.
Baba,
don't work
the
like
elbow,
that.
The elbow not working.
Well, why the eyeball ain't working? Why you still in the bed?
Oh, boy.
Well, I did the eyeball. They supposed to call me, right? No, you got to get up out that bed, put on your finest clothes, and go get that Isha that you want.
You got to go do it.
Go get that work.
Got to go do it, people.
It's action along with the spiritual work.
I say.
The Ebal, the sacrifice. As we said, that aspect of it opens that portal for your ancestors to rejoice, to be happy. You didn't appease them. Now they're going to help you to go for what you want. So you got to be ambitious to go out there and get it. You got to do the spirit, the Ebal aspect of it for the assistance of the ancestors and the Irumale.
Man, yo. I'm going to read one more excerpt real quick that talks about the art and function of sacrifice. Ebo or etutu, atonement, are important because of the roles they play in appeasing both Olodumare, God the Creator, and several other unseen spirits for a tranquil life. This is normally done by chanting invocations, which are normally received by spiritual energies who bring people's messages to Olodumare, to Ile Ashe, to the house of Ashe.
The house of Ashe. Yeah,
Says that God is a listening God. He listens to what people ask from him or their energy, her, whatever, and grant their request from time to time. This fact is amply acknowledged through the names Yoruba give to Olodumare, to the Creator. For example, he is called Abeti Lukarabi Ajere, the one who has 201 ears. It was Orunmila who brought the arts of, I think you read this.
Yes.
Into prominence, and it talked about Oshetura and the prominent minister that carries the Ebo, Bani. Bani.
Yeah, Oshe Torah, Oshe Awurela. It's the alias name of Oshe Torah. Very powerful Odu. It's Oshe Torah that helps the 16 major Odus to copulate.
I say.
And when they copulate, that's when the Omo Odu, or what do they call it? The Afeka Leka. It's a many names for the combination Odus. But it's Oshe Torah, it's that sperm, that spark that give birth to those.
The combination for the 16 Olodu, the 16 major Odus to come together and combine to create the other 240 minor Odu. So the 240 minor Odu plus the 16 major Odu, the 16 majors equal the 256. Bani. So we want to continue to thank everybody for supporting us. Anything that you donate, or if you want to do a monthly subscription of $5 a month, we feel like everybody has $5. That is going to help us greatly do what we need to do. And for that first tier of membership, we will be saying prayers to Oshun monthly. For based on all the names who want to do that. We'll also be offering a $10 tier and a $15 tier. So there'll be more information coming out soon on how you can support Let's Talk IFA, so that we can continue to make more of the content that you love. Also, the African Spirituality Blueprint. The first iteration is still underway. So make sure that you hit us up if you have any questions about that program. It's a 7-week program to help you apply
program
in a practical way African spirituality to improve your life and the life of your family. So that is available right now. The African Spirituality Blueprint. The donations are up and open. Monthly membership, whatever, $5, $1 a month, $2 a month. Whatever you find it in your heart to do as a love offering, anything is appreciated, because we understand financially right now that things are tight for a lot of people. So we just continue to give thanks and praise in the name of Olodumare. We thank you for your support. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe. I am Awo Ifa Jimini Ray.
I am Awo Ifa Tegunshe.
And you were tuned into
the best
and the greatest
podcast
on the planet Earth.
Let's talk Ifa. Ashe Odabu.
Ashe wa. Odabo for now. Agbo ato. Asuri wori wo fun. Ashe.
Ashe wow.